All right, rules and properties of exponents. Let's break it down and simplify this bad boy. So what I tell my students is anytime you have a fraction bar, right, you've got a top numerator and a denominator, completely ignore one of them. Clean up the top, clean up the bottom, whichever looks like it needs to be simplified first. I look at this and the top very clearly has some stuff that can go together. We got some x's, some y's, some coefficients. So I'm going to completely ignore the bottom. I'm just going to block that, right? And I'm going to look at this problem as 3 times 6. Those are coefficients. Those need to be multiplied. So right now what I'm going to end up getting after this step is I'm going to get 18, and then I go to my x's. Now I got x to the 5th. I tell my students to draw the 1 there so they don't forget about the fact that there's a 1 there. When you're multiplying bases that are the same, what do we do with our exponents? We add them together. That gives me x to the 6th power. Okay, so hopefully you understand how this is working. Now y to the 3rd, y to the 2nd, that's going to create y to the 5th. If you're not understanding how I get this 6 and this 5, you may need to go back to one of my previous videos where I teach you the product rule of exponents. Okay, for those of you that do understand it, our top is now cleaned up, it's simplified, it's put together. We've got a product. Now on bottom, nothing's changed. That 2 is still there. X to the 29th power is still there. Y to the 5th power is still here. So now, because we have nothing to clean up on top or bottom, numerator, denominator, we're going to start to divide. So we go straight down. Notice that I got my coefficients lined up, my x's lined up, and my y's lined up. This makes it really easy. 18 divided by 2. If I were to block everything else, it just reads out as 18 divided by 2. So that's exactly what you need to give. You need to give your answer of 9. 18 divided by 2 is 9. X to the 6th divided by x to the 29th. What we do with our exponents when we're dividing bases that are the same is we need to subtract the exponents. So 6 minus 29. That's going to take me all the way back to negative 23. You should know by now that you're not allowed to have negative exponents. We're going to take care of that in just a second. Y to the 5th divided by y to the 5th. Those are just going to cancel one another out. It creates y to the 0 power, which is just 1, and this times 1 remains the same thing. So I like to just scratch it right there during that step. Now we get to this step, and I watched a lot of my students look at this and say, oh, I know exactly what to do here. They took all of it, and they put it on the bottom of a fraction. And then they put 1 on top. Now that's great if the 9 and the x both had a negative exponent. But 9, it's got an exponent up here, but it's not negative. It's not negative 23 like the x is. This exponent goes to this x. This 9 has an exponent that's hidden. It's technically a 1. Now that's a positive exponent, meaning that that should stay on top. 9 remains on top. This part of the term needs to shift down to the bottom. X to the 23rd power. Your final answer would be 9 over x to the 23rd power. Hopefully this makes sense. This is exponent rules. There's a lot of them. Once you get them memorized and you've done a lot of practice problems, they become a lot easier. Study hard and good luck on your upcoming test.